Then there is the writing the paper has published by Thomas Friedman, a former Jerusalem bureau chief turned columnist. Friedman infamously backed the 2003 US-led invasion of Iraq that was based on lies, and did so in the most offensive, cavalier way.
And what they needed to see was American boys and girls going house to house, from Basra to Baghdad, and basically saying, well, suck on this, okay?
This time around, Friedman concocted a column comparing the Middle East to an animal kingdom, with America cast as an old lion, Iranians as wasps, and Hamas as some kind of spider.
When he likens the Palestinians and various other players in the region to animals, it's horrifyingly offensive at a time when the Israelis are saying that the Palestinians in Gaza are human animals, and even more offensive than that is treating a situation like this as some kind of fable or barnyard story, rather than actually understanding the reality of the Palestinians, that this is an oppressed people, this is an occupied people.
It's classic colonialism, classic racism, and wherever you look in a settler colonial project, the British in Kenya or India, they spoke in the same language, and they used overwhelming force to subdue a population that they considered less than human and only capable of understanding violence. Friedman in the Iraq War was the famous one who said,
"We hit Iraq because we could."
Thomas Friedman is one of the spokespeople for that twisted ideology, and that's why he does as well as he does.
The New York Times is not alone in failing its American audience on the Gaza story. There was the Wall Street Journal report on Israel's allegation that UNRWA, the relief agency so many Palestinians depend on, had been infiltrated by Hamas. The paper swallowed Israel's unsubstantiated side of that story, hook, line, and sinker. There's CNN and the fake news beheaded babies narrative.
Babies and toddlers were found with their heads decapitated.
Neither CNN nor the Journal, however, are considered America's news outlet of record, the way the Times is. But should it be? Despite some worthwhile investigations since October 7th, like this one showing the destruction caused by 2,000-pound Israeli bombs, that does not begin to address an imbalance that goes back decades. The unmistakable pro-Israel bias coming out of the Times' Jerusalem bureau, where Chris Hedges worked in the early 2000s.
You have had more than one case where the reporter assigned to Jerusalem, Ethan Bronner, for example, his children are serving in the IDF. I mean, imagine that, if a Palestinian reporter covering Gaza, his kids were in an armed wing of any Palestinian faction. So I, sick of the one-sided coverage, used vacation time to go to Han Yunis and write a magazine piece for Harper's called A Gaza Diary. That was published, and I was informed that I would never report again from the Middle East for the New York Times. I'm an Arabic speaker, by the way. They don't have a lot. So you pay a heavy price if you attempt to report.
We requested interviews with numerous reporters at the Times and a spokesperson there. All of them declined. Instead, the paper sent this statement: "We remain confident in the accuracy of our reporting and stand by the team's investigation, which was rigorously sourced and edited." We could have asked about the paper's famous motto, the one created in 1897 that still adorns its masthead today, and perhaps suggested an edit. Something like, all the news that's fit to print, and some that clearly isn't.